I don't have any tooth. I'll admit it. I will brag. Those players did not just go and whip that ass for us to be like, oh, good game. No, we whipped your ass. We took $800,000. Now we're going to party with it.
Yeah, who cares if you're in the Power 5 conference if you don't win it, ever? Or you don't beat any of the teams in it? Like, what's the point of that? Wouldn't you rather win the conference and say, like, hey, my team is good, than lose the conference and say, well, our conference is good?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got two teams that got me gassed up. It's going to be a hell of a battle. Be like two dogs fighting over a milk bun.
Look, they don't call me Tip for nothing. And my tip is, look out for the group of 5 this season. They've been taking it to the Power 5 year after year.
The only quarterbacks that ever get any love are from the Power 5. And I could easily list off the top group of 5 quarterbacks I would rather have than those guys. I would be willing to bet that at least one of them is going to be in the running for the Heisman this year.
Welcome in, everybody. It's been a while. Group of 5 guys coming at you. Matt Sprouse, your host. We got a big-time show for you guys tonight. Prepping for the NFL draft. We're going to have a lot of Group of 5 guys go in the draft. We're really excited about that. Before we go any further, y'all make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, at Group of 5 guys. Like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And then if you feel like supporting us a little bit financially, you want a hoodie, you want a hat, koozies, coffee mugs, all that good stuff, just go to group5guys.com and you can spot us a couple bucks on that. We got a really good show for you. We're going to talk about all 5 of us getting together at the Middle Tennessee Alumni Golf Tournament. A couple of us went down to Troy, Alabama, checked out Troy's spring game, and we're going to preview the best Group of 5 guys in the draft. And then we got a real special guest, one of Malik Willis's former coaches, coming on to talk about him and talk about his prep for the NFL. So before we go, we'll go around the horn here a little bit, say what's up to the fellas. Jesse Grisham, good to see you.
Hey, where's the freaking gabagoo? You motherfucker. You motherfucker. Don't make me get the... Hey, I'm walking here.
God bless America. Everybody at Troy was looking for him.
They wanted to see the tracksuit.
They wanted to see it.
If it wasn't damn 92 degrees out there, I might have worn it out there, but it's freaking hot in South Alabama.
Well, you had a little bit of a different look there in that intro video there, Grish.
I know. I appreciate it, Jeff. Finding hidden gems in the closet there for you. that guy wishes he was swag bear, by God. I promise you that. He ain't got no swag on me. I promise.
That guy is born and raised in Jersey.
South Cali. He's a South Cali guy, dude. No, whatever. He's South Cali, just trying to be like a Northeastern. Putting on a front, he probably saw Sopranos a handful of times, and now what do you think he is? He ain't married into it like I am. I'm blooded. Hey. Get out of here.
Well, Jeff Murphy, that's a fantastic audio edit there for us. How are you this evening?
Man, I'm great, guys. Just fired up for this episode, and we have a voicemail actually. Had a caller call in and ask a question, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But man, just so excited coming off that trip from Troy this weekend. Just was blown away by the facilities, man. And Coach Summerall's got something going on good down there. I'm fired up to see them, watch them this season, and see how they do in the Sun Belt, which is, I mean, in my opinion, probably the toughest conference in college football.
No doubt.
So and that includes the SEC, by the way.
Yeah, no question. Tyler Tipton, it's good to see you, brother. How are you?
Great to see you too, Sprouse. Great to see you, boys. Yeah, piggyback off what Murph said. We had a fantastic time down in Troy and loved meeting all the coaches and the players and the fans. And we had a phenomenal time. Loved watching them compete out there in the spring game, and also had a great lunch at Half Shell in Troy, Alabama. Shout out to Coach Villano for suggesting the mahi tacos. They were phenomenal.
Good mahi tacos. Whatever that what was that smoked fish dip we had too? I thought
The
was
smoked
pretty
tuna
good.
dip.
Yeah,
tuna.
that's pretty good.
I was
Zeke?
getting pretty lit in that place.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah. We
I was
remember.
like the only one in there.
par for the
after.
course there, buddy.
It was like 1:00 in the afternoon.
You got young children, families around,
Yeah.
just dropping profane
I was the only
language.
one there drinking double whiskeys.
Well, Zeke, we missed having you, man. But I hope you got to see some good pictures and videos we took for you.
Yeah, I definitely had a little FOMO. Excited to hear about the stories from the weekend. You know, I've only seen you guys. It's been about a week, and I feel like I hadn't seen you guys in 2 weeks with all the posts and everything like that. So I'm excited to hear some stories.
Well, I got to tell you, it is only April, almost May, but it feels like it's football season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, us being able to get to a couple places, I mean, getting out on the town, getting to see the facilities, meeting the fans, tailgating a little bit.
And the weather
Ready to
too.
roll.
Weather over
Yeah,
the weekend was just phenomenal.
You could, when we were down there on the field, a few hours before the spring game, and you just see the heat coming up off the turf. It's like, oh yeah, it's time. But I mean, let's get into it first. All five of us got together up in Murfreesboro at the MT Golf Tournament. It's great to see everybody, of course, and see Coach Stock and all that. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, other than the fact that I got to tell you guys, I have been playing really good golf as of late. I mean, I've played 3 times in the past, I don't know, 2.5 months, and I am getting better with every swing that I take.
I'm one of those guys that I feel like I'm blessed to be a guy that if I play golf, I don't really get mad. I don't get upset. I just play. If I hit out, if I hit a house, I hit a house. If I hit it on the green, I hit it on the green. Either way, I'm still drinking my beer and having fun with my friends.
No
Some people, if you make a bad shot, I can only imagine how much money they go through just buying new golf clubs or paying for golf carts or damages to trees. I don't know. I thank God for the couth I have on a golf course.
Hole number 7 broke the 7.
Well, the thing about it is it's best ball, and just because one guy hits a bad one, we still got a good one to play. But old Zeke Anderson, the temptation and the aggravation got the best of him on that hole.
Yeah, and I have high expectations. I'm a performer, and I thought that, Tipton was definitely putting the team on his back.
There's no doubt.
And I felt like I could contribute a little more. And my 7-iron is usually my safe club, my safe space. When I get out of whack, I can come back to the 7, zone it in, and that 7 did not send me to heaven. So I had to bury that bad boy.
Well, I'll tell you what the most impressive thing of the entire weekend was. We went out there to the old practice fields and ran ourselves through about 10 periods of practice, just reminiscing a little bit. Guys, Tyler Tipton went 3 for 3 and drained a 45-yard field goal.
Incredible.
I mean, snap, hold, everything. This guy.
I still got it, boys.
I mean, I don't
Funny thing,
understand.
Zeke called it too. He was like,
Yeah.
because he knocked the PAT, and Zeke goes, he got about a 45-yarder in him. It's like bullshit.
Yeah.
He had it.
Cleared it. You cleared it.
That's about all we had. That 45-yarder barely went over, but
It's all right.
That's it.
Hey,
If
it's
you
either
actually-
over or it's not, and that sucker was over.
right.
I really
When-
think, Tip, if you actually
Hit the crossbar, down
if
right
you
down
worked,
the middle.
if you just worked your right leg, you go to Planet Fitness and just get on the push rack and you just do one-legged raises and stuff, and then you go and you actually practice on the field 4 to 5 times a week. Why not, man? Try to go to Tennessee Titans.
No, I tell you this,
Represent-
you could for sure make about $60K in a couple months at the USFL.
Holy
ain't
crap!
no
That's a good
question.
point. That's a great point. Yeah.
Side gig.
Invincible.
Pay for our travel, Tip. This is
Yeah,
it.
no
This
doubt.
is our answer. Your leg.
Yeah. All right. Well, who do we need to email? Because let's get on that real quickly. We'll send the film out.
Is
We'll
it
make a
Dwayne The
huddle
Rock
for him.
Johnson?
Don't we get a
Coach of the
connection to
XFL?
Jeff Fisher? He's a head coach of one of those teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, that poor guy's struggling already.
Yeah, if y'all
Not-
been
not
watching-
much
I
has
haven't watched
changed.
one game. I haven't watched one game.
I watched.
Okay.
I've watched 2, and they're rough.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's football. I love football, and I'll sit there and watch it. But I don't know. It's just something about it. It just doesn't feel. It's not. It doesn't feel like professional And it doesn't have the hype that college does. There's nobody in the stands. It's at, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's at UAB's football stadium.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on this. I saw a post, and Sprouse, I think you retweeted it. Is our buddy from App State playing on one of these teams?
Ty for no, he's playing in an arena.
Oh, it's arena. Okay,
different league. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, shout out to him though.
Yeah,
dusting off the old pads, getting out there.
Heck yeah,
that's a big boy now.
I hit the sled one time on last Saturday. My shoulder still hurts.
Well, let's get into Troy. I mean, because that's the real story from the weekend. I mean, first of all, you guys come over to the Sprouse home and we meet Zeke's twin out on the town there. I mean, that was fantastic stuff.
All right, I got to know the story behind that.
We didn't want to take a picture without you because we thought you might get jealous, and so
honestly,
we just found a guy.
No, it was a guy. He was a personal guy. Like, we go to this place in Columbus, Georgia, and like usual, if we're not in a college town, I'm usually the daggum tallest, or Sprouse is the tallest one there. This dude with a little cowboy hat, he goes, "Y'all boys are huge." And I'm like, "Thanks, man, I guess." And then he asked who we're all about, and then one of these three were like, "Do you not look like Zeke to y'all?" And so I was like, "We gotta get a picture with him."
I'm sure that was you.
I don't think he necessarily looked as much like Zeke, or just had the cowboy hat that fit us for the picture.
It was a guy with a cowboy hat that was
and what are the odds
and having a good time? So
what are the odds that we're all shooting pool and he's kind of hanging out there in our little area?
Yeah,
it looked like he could have been. I don't even know what the name.
I don't know the name of it.
I don't know. It was another one of those Columbus bars that had a cover fee to get in. I think.
God bless. I guess I'm the only one that carries around cash these days.
We were out to
cover for everybody for every bar.
In a long time. We were out. We were out a long time.
Did you at least go to Scruffy Murphy's?
No, we didn't go to Scruffy Murphy's. We tried to go. All the lights were on, and it was about to close.
Yeah, it didn't look. Scruffy Murphy's didn't look like the place to be, so we skipped that one. After we went to that pizza joint where the damn bartender was almost in tears.
She was having a panic attack, poor thing.
Goodness gracious.
Well, anyway, so then, of course, we got up early. We got after it a little bit, and then we headed to Troy, which that's a brutal drive, by the way. If you're looking to come from the state of Georgia, if you're a Georgia State fan or Georgia Southern fan and you're going to make that drive, it's
I don't think it'll be that bad if you're coming from Georgia State. But if you're going from Statesboro or Columbus, that back roads are just pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I mean, you go through some interesting towns, but so we get over there.
That's all Troy, right? To get to Troy, you always have to go through.
Well, unless you come straight down 65, then
you go down 65, but then you do have to take about 45 to an hour scenic route.
Yeah.
But hopefully, eventually, if there's any recruits listening to this, don't get disheartened when you're on these back roads and deer run out in front of you, there's snakes and coyotes, and you got this, toothless wonder waving you down. Just keep on driving. And then when you get to Troy, it is like a little football heaven. I mean, I was very impressed when we got there.
Yeah. Ain't no doubt. So we get there, and then, we right away go straight to campus, scope out the facilities. I mean, they're big time. I know we say it a lot of places, but theirs are really, really, really top notch.
We've noticed a trend with these upgrades to these facilities where they're doing it in those end zones.
Yep.
And that's where all the facilities and stuff are at for the football team, and they look fantastic. Like, it looks amazing. They come straight out of that end zone and straight onto the field, and they've done a great job, and what they did at Troy was amazing.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. What I've noticed is, in which it's a copycat world we live in, but the flow, a lot of these new facilities, how they work and how they operate, it just makes a whole lot of sense when they come off the field. Like, they had the mud room where they basically drop all their cleats, all their real nasty stuff. So that stays in this one area, and then they can go in the locker room where it's mainly just like their personal stuff, and they can drop their loop over there. And they had the jacuzzi pool, cold tub, where you could fit, shoot 30, 40 guys depending in there, or they can run in it to do rehab. And I just love the feel of that stadium. And I always liked it when I played there, but now that they finished it off, it just feels I mean, I know it's different because it's like Troy Trojans, but like it had that Coliseum, Roman Coliseum feel to it with the pillars and just the way it was kind of designed. They have that massive jumbotron in the end zone.
That was
like
really nice.
It was just, I mean, it was just an awesome facilities, and I just thoroughly enjoyed everything about it.
Well, the thing I'll say too about the stadium and doing those end zone facilities, and it's like that at App State as well. It's actually like that at Georgia Southern, where they've got some suites and more like executive, booster seating. Well, what that does is, number one, it looks really aesthetic. It looks really good. But then two, it's not a huge empty end zone, bleacher area that's going to look empty. Even if those people are not in their seats, it still looks good. And it's still not going to look like, oh, there's some empty metal bleachers.
Yeah, it forces it kind of compacts your fan base in more, which is smart.
Yeah.
I felt it was like historical, right? I feel like I was at a stadium that's got a lot of history there, and they've also done a lot of upgrades to it. But I want to go back to those upgrades they've had in the end zone, the weight room, and just the new facilities. What they do there, and what would fire me up as a player or a recruit, is I feel like every turn they're acknowledging something they've accomplished. They have a wall of these Troy Trojan helmets. With every NFL team, with players that are in the NFL. And what I thought was really impressive, and shout out to just the faculty and staff, they were very friendly and just showed us around like we were been there 100 times. They had the Super Bowl, what would you call that? Like a memorial or something? Like all the paintings of players have won Super Bowl trophies. And as soon as they had a player that won from Tampa Bay last year, within 2 days, they had an upgraded memorial with his picture on it. So it's really cool because every time you turn around, there's something motivating you to why you're at Troy.
Yeah, no question. And I mean, you go ahead, Zeke. Sorry, you got questions.
No, what I was gonna say, just from being an outsider and not being there for once, and just seeing what you guys have posted, I think you did a great job highlighting the things, because I've been to Troy and I've seen it, but just seeing your picture and the pictures you've taken, it just, you could tell that the atmosphere was much better than other universities that we've been to, and they take a lot of pride in the football town.
It's funny too, whenever we were in the new facilities, because I know me, Murph, and Zeke, we've been on the away team at Troy. Where they had that little that shed you feel like you were in, that away locker room, and you had to walk up that hill and get to. So that's
they wear you down before you even get on the field.
That's basically where the weight room is now. Well, maybe it's like the front of the weight room. But they've just added on and just upgraded. And it's funny because I was sitting there, I was like, God, I remember being right here as a away team.
And one of the things, and I brought it up when we were in there, I'm like fascinated by weight room stuff, but their equipment is that Sorinex stuff, and let me tell you, that's the top of the line. So you're not going to get better. You cannot have better equipment in a weight room, regardless of where you at, than what they have at Troy University. So
it gives you a sore neck.
Sure. But it was cool too. I liked how they had, they said the strength coach is a veteran. So they've got all the, kind of Army and Marine type, like motivational flags hanging all over. It looks like it's a pretty motivating place to be.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the functionality of it too, again, like it all just makes sense. Like where they have the dumbbells, and they have, when you walk in, you're up higher, and then the racks and all the main stuff is down below. So like instead of just putting in stairs, they have a huge ramp that you can do drills on, do rehab on to get down. And that sucker's steep now.
Yeah,
but it's like that was smart. Like everything has a place and everything makes sense, and there's a rhyme and a reason to it. And whoever designed it did a very good job.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, back to the stadium and the environment a little bit. I mean, it was a spring game, and we talked to a lot of people. There was several things. It was at Talladega, and then the
Auburn Rodeo
is right up the road. And there was a pretty good spring crowd there, and I'll give it to them. They stayed the entire time.
Yep.
And they had a little, shout out to Troy. I don't know if it was Coach Summerall or the AD or whoever put on the concert pregame. So they had a concert pregame in the stadium, and all those people were there for that. And, I mean, they stayed, and it was a full-blown – I think running clock probably in the second half, I think they did. But
they did it right. They did it right. Had the music blasting.
Yep.
And I thought it was genius, and probably a lot of schools do this, but the camp for the kids.
Yep.
So the kids go there, do the camp, and then when they get done, they want to see the guys they look up to. Want to see what the quarterback's doing in the spring game, what the receivers doing. So you had the kids and the parents there. So I was extremely impressed with the turnout at Troy, and I can only imagine what it's like during the season.
Yeah, and we ran into a couple of our some fans that listen to the show.
Yeah, that was cool. It's always cool going out of town and just people appreciate what we're doing. That's why we do it.
Yeah, and we appreciate them, man.
I want to hear about this lunch spot. I want to hear about Grisham drinking too many brews
Well,
and cussing in front of the kids.
I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I'm going to be honest.
I don't remember any of that.
No. Troy, football facilities, fantastic. The school's beautiful. We didn't get a whole lot of time there, but I was just trying to find a little sports bar place to go and get a little loosened up for the spring game, in case they needed me to go out there and hit a little something, But we go to this place called Half Shell, and we walk in there.
Yeah, it was quiet.
Very, very quiet, very quiet. And we're sitting there at the bar, and the bartender, nice as all can be. I didn't realize though I was surrounded by about 60, 70-year-olds. After I'm having a few brewskis and stuff, I start raising my voice. That little cuss words may slip out here and there. I got some Daddy Sprouse hitting me in the ribs. Like, you can't say that here. And I'm like, I'm me. I know my truth. I put down about 5 or 6 beers, and I started drinking whiskey. And then next thing you know, we got to go. We got to go to the game. Right? Oh, this is right before the spring game. Oh, yeah. I drank some water. I was able to be professional.
Talk about getting lathered up.
I was getting well, NBA playoffs are on, and I'm fired up. I'm a big NBA playoff kind of guy. I was trying to get lathered up, and I was excited. The food was fantastic, by the way. Half Shell has really good food. Fantastic. But apparently when you go to Troy, it's a small town. It's a very small town. They have a bar called the Front Porch, which I'm sure if we were staying that night, we would go on the Front Porch, and I'd probably be here right now talking about how Front Porch is the best bar in the Sun Belt. But we weren't able to get there. We drove by the Front Porch, and it looks like a haunted house, but it looked scary. But I'm sure at nighttime, especially with beer goggles on, it's probably fantastic.
Yeah, it looked like it was. It looked like it'd been there for a long
place
time.
to be, huh?
Half Shell, and then we didn't get to make it over to Sips, but a couple people kept telling us that Sips was a good place to go as well. So if you're in Troy for a game and want somewhere to hit before, Sips, Half Shell.
Yeah.
Either
well,
one.
What the bartender said too about Half Shell is on a fall game Saturday. He said it would be a lot different.
It's a very good point. This still, even though we're there for the spring game, rodeo weekend, Talladega, it wasn't exactly a pregame feel, which he said it is in the fall time. So.
Yeah, and then just real quick, and we got to get to this NFL the draft preview. Just the game, regardless. I'm gonna tell you something. Troy's defense is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So good.
And Carlton Marshall, by the way, he's a little fella now, but he's all over the place. And shout out to him for being a super senior, coming back and playing in a spring game. A lot of the so-called star players don't do that. So shout out to him. But he's little, but he's all over the field.
Well, Sprouse, who's on the sideline that is not little? That is a physical specimen.
Solomon.
Oh my gosh, that guy's going to be a stud. I mean, he is a stud, but seeing him in person was just like, wow.
It's really funny because we all obviously have been around the game a long time and we're used to hanging out with big guys. But, I mean, me and Jesse were sitting there the whole time. We're like, God, these guys are big. Well, are they big? Are they bigger than we were?
Jeff was trying me. Jeff was trying me because they had – look, I get it. I know I'm a 31-year-old fat ass now. But I used to be a little bigger. And then 97 – I can't remember his last name.
I can't remember his last name either.
The zero technique.
He ain't getting moved.
Bowling ball, like all muscle. And he's standing right in front of me. We're about the same height and stuff. I look at Jeff. I'm like, he's pretty good. And Jeff goes, you wouldn't move him. And I'm like, well, right now, but maybe back in 2012. He goes, you aren't moving him. I mean, you have no shot. And I
mean, the size of that guy's legs,
the guy
dude.
Mississippi State was probably 50 pounds bigger. He goes, you didn't move him either.
I'll tell you one funny story, Zeke, that I almost forgot about. So we went out, of course, in Columbus on Friday night, and whatever. We get to Troy, we're on the sideline, and Jesse's over there talking to one of the receivers, and he goes, "Hey, bro, you could go to the front porch after the game." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not going." And then he looks down at Jesse's wrist, and Jesse's still wearing his 21 and up band from the night before. And the
Didn't even realize it. It's been on for 20 hours.
He goes, "Well, you already pre-banded, bro."
I looked down. I said, "I've been wearing this the whole time. I did a facility tour, went and had lunch. I'm over here wearing this freaking green fair band,
bright green."
It's so funny.
Well, that's good stuff. But yeah, again, shout out to Coach Summerall, Coach McKissick, everybody else that showed us around and showed us some love while we were out there. We had a really good time. Hopefully we'll get back there in the fall for something. But NFL draft this week. We got a lot of guys. They got a chance.
A lot of guys.
A lot of guys that got a chance.
61 group of 5 guys
that are projected to be drafted, which who knows? That could end up being 80. That could end up being 40. I mean,
and we'll let you know because we're going to keep counting.
Hey, there's no question. But we're really deep at QB. I think we're really deep at receiver, really deep at O-line and D-line to include some of the edge rushers. But
deep at tight end too.
Yeah, tight end. Yeah, tight end's the deepest one. I mean, tight end's probably the top because you probably got 3 guys that are potential first rounders. I mean, they'll probably be, second and third, a couple of them. But I mean, just real quick, you go through the list. Obviously, QBs are the one that everybody's going to talk about. Everybody's talking about Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder, but obviously Bailey Zappi, we've loved him all year.
Yeah.
I mean, how's that guy not projected to be a first or second rounder? I don't know.
Zappinator. I don't
Somebody's
know.
going to get a steal.
What's he projected?
Somebody's going to get a steal. So
4th round, you said, Zeke?
Yeah, they've got him projected going the 3rd or 4th round, but I think whatever team he goes to, Sean Payton will end up going there because he's the next Drew Brees.
Man, honestly, if I'm Bailey Zappi, this is going to sound stupid, I know, but do you want to be a first rounder going early and going on these crappy teams and then ruining your career? Bailey Zappi goes 4th round and ends up being with the Pittsburgh Steelers or something, and next thing you know, he's just slinging it and he's having a hell of a career.
I'm with you. Pittsburgh's a really good example, Jess, because you want to go to an organization that's steady. That's all. I mean, you think Pittsburgh, you think O-line, run game, defense, and that's where you want to go if you're a young quarterback. And
thanks, Matt.
Hey,
I thought you were being a smart aleck at first. Appreciate it.
No, I was giving you a compliment. It was a good point. And I was going to echo that same thing. I think whether you're Bailey Zappi or Carson Strong, they're going to go they're going to go to hopefully, a program or a college, but organization that's in a little bit better of a situation like a Jacksonville is, or where you go and it's just a dumpster fire, or like the New York Jets where they can't seem to figure it out. So I think this might be one of the best QB classes, group of 5 wise, that can go in, and all of them have the potential to be really good players down the road. I don't see any one of the top 4 guys being bust. Now, could it happen? Sure, but I'm just really excited about this draft class.
Well, all these projections that I'm seeing for those 2 guys, so Carson Strong and Zappi, are all teams that they can go in, maybe sit and be a second string for a year or 2, and then get an opportunity to start. So Carson Strong, I'm seeing projections of him getting drafted by the Saints, Panthers, Titans. Those are all 3 good fits in my opinion. And then Zappi, you're looking at projections from Colts, who have an older quarterback, Vikings, who also have an older-ish quarterback, and then the Commanders, where Carson Wentz has been struggling. So, I think that's a great fit for those guys. Those are good, solid teams that he's going to get. They're going to get the opportunity to play here in a few years.
Watch in the
what
preseason.
About your boy Dustin Crane?
I'm coming right for you, Zeke. Watch in preseason and when they get there for camp and whatnot. Willis and Ridder are going to have a lot of pressure wherever they go. They're going to be eyes on them, expected to play right away. Not just Dustin Crum, Kent State quarterback, but Zappi, Ellaby, and Strong are the other guys that are expected to be drafted at some point. there's going to be reports from all the beat writers that are going to say these guys are turning heads in camp and surprising everybody in camp. Look out for Zappy to start whatever week 1. Just wait for that to happen, because those are the guys that aren't going to have a lot of pressure, and they're going to go to better situations, and they're going to have a shot. But, yeah, Dustin Crum, 3 years from now, Zeke, Pro Bowler. Book it.
But I want to say this, Sprouse, that moved from QBs to wide receivers. Every wide receiver we have listed right here, they're going to be stars
really
because of something I said in the past. They have the name, right? I mean, you have Sky Moore, for God's sakes, Shakir, Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin's what I talked about before. That guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. Jalen Tolbert and Alec Pierce. I love those names. But no, in all seriousness, though, Calvin Austin in Memphis, I think he's going to be a steal
really good.
in the draft.
And all those guys you just said, Jesse, I'm seeing like projected getting drafted between the 1st and 3rd round. Like that's incredible.
That's
impressive. Yeah, the wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the group of 5 this year.
Yeah, I mean, and then just in the interest of time, you go Sauce. It's either going to be Sauce or Willis that's going to be the first group of 5 guy off the board. I mean, it just depends on how much people want to, reach for a quarterback. But I mean, Sauce has surpassed Derek Stingley from LSU. It seems like on everybody's board. I think Stingley had a really good 19, and he wasn't quite as good after that. Where Sauce has just been consistent his whole career.
Yeah,
and then he performed at his pro day, and he's answered any question that he's got. I look at a guy like Marcus Jones out of Houston because he's a really good return guy too. So somebody's going to pick him up to play corner, but also right away he'll be able to help on special teams, punt return, kick return. So, I mean, it's a deep draft, and I'm excited for it.
Well, what about this D line here? The D line, you have Logan Hall at Houston, and then Majai Sanders.
Hall's a first rounder.
Which one of those two do you think is going to be, get picked up first?
Hall's a first round pick.
Really?
Yeah, and then Sanders and Cam Thomas out of San Diego State are going to be probably later. I think Sanders is a little probably undersized for what they're looking for.
I'm seeing projections like 3rd, 4th, 5th round for those guys.
I like to. I don't know if you want to consider him an outside linebacker or D end, but D'Angelo Malone out of Western Kentucky is going to be. Where's he projected at, Tip? You see
somebody's going to get a good deal on him. I'm seeing these projections like 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So if he starts falling there in the 4th and 5th round, that's an incredible value pick right there.
Real quick, what I think is so funny about the NFL draft. I mean, and this is just, and I don't know if these are scouts making these comparisons or these are like writers making these comparisons. But anytime these guys will put they'll do their little scouting report and then they'll put a pro comparison. Like, so who's active in the league right now that he's like, and I'm looking at Alec Pierce right now. Okay. And he's a white fella. Well, but he's not the prototypical white guy. I mean, he run 4.4, I think, in the 40 at pro day. Well, his comparison, of course, is a white wide receiver, Eric Decker. I mean, come on, guys. Jeez. Can we have just a little bit of creativity and just not be like, well, white guy, book it.
He's not white.
And they're going to do the same thing. They're calling Malik Willis, Jalen Hurts, I think, is his comparison. Why? I mean, Anyway, let me get off my high horse there.
Real quick before we leave, what are the odds that we get the 2 first and second round pick our group of 5 guys? I mean, that's very well possibility, right?
First and second overall.
That's what I'm saying. First and second overall.
Who would it be?
It would be Willis at 1
and Sauce.
2. Yeah.
Because to that point, Murph, you could see a situation where the Jaguars trade back. If somebody wants Malik Willis that bad, they might trade with the Jaguars and go first overall and pick him up there at 1.
Yeah.
Well, I think, what are they saying? Carolina is going to do that, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah, they're picking at 6 currently. So I see Malik Willis getting drafted within the top 9. Panthers at 6 need a quarterback. Falcons at 8 need a quarterback, and the Seahawks at 9 need a quarterback. So I could see any of those 3 teams either holding back and waiting and picking him at their spot, or trading up to get him if they want him.
I'm curious to learn more about this Malik Willis guy.
and I know we need to get to the tight ends because that's important to us. But as far as Malik Willis goes, from our standpoint as a Group of 5 guy, where does he compare? Because the analysts have him ranked a lot higher than the other guys we're talking about. Everybody's talking about Malik Willis. You get a couple mentions about Carson Strong, but then everybody else is off the radar. Every other analyst, nobody's talking about Zappy, nobody's talking about Crum, nobody's talking about Caleb
LB.
So nobody's talking about these guys. It's all about Malik Willis. Where do we think the margin is between the guys? Do we think that Malik Willis is just that much better than all these other Group of 5 guys? Or is he just the dual threat that the NFL is looking for?
In my uneducated opinion, he's the hot name that had a really impressive pro day. He made the throw that went viral, and I think that scouts and those of the likes fall victim to that.
He lost to La Monroe, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. He's got the most talent, I guess. I mean, he's athletic. The other guys, I mean, Ritter a little bit, Crum a little bit, but the other guys not so much. So
I think that's why he's ranked so high is because of like that ceiling. I think is what people look at, and the fact that he is so athletic. He's got a strong arm. You know, I think they look at a guy like Ritter, who'd be probably the second guy. Like you kind of know what you're going to get. And, you know, and I'm with you too. It's kind of the star at the moment type syndrome too. Everybody's been talking about him, you know, so they think him, you know, he's going to be it. But, you know, it's just who wants to take that chance? You know, that's a high pick. If you're talking in the first, 5-6 picks. After that, I don't think anybody else is willing to take the risk on a guy like Desmond Ritter that high. They'll try and snag somebody else in a later round.
When was the last time a Group of 5 guy was a number 1 overall pick? Well, Liberty's not technically one Group of 5, but we'll give it to him this time.
It happens more often than I think we think.
Well, Liberty is
competing.
Well, I know. I mean, off the top of my head, Eric Fisher from Central
Fisher,
Michigan, the
that's
left
probably
tackle.
one. Probably one after him. I just cannot think.
Let me look it up real fast. Wouldn't that be something? While I'm doing that, yeah, tight end's really fast. I mean, it's loaded. Yeah. Trey McBride's going to be a first-round pick. Isaiah Likely, where they got him, second or third round tip?
Yeah, I'm actually seeing with Likely, second, third, fourth round. But what I noticed, like as far as like trends go with McBride and Likely is I pulled my projections, like my draft projections from like ESPN, CBS Sports, NFL.com, WalterFootball.com, PFF. And I saw the trend of like McBride and Likely in different mock drafts getting picked up by the Colts. I think the Colts getting one of these two guys is like an absolutely perfect fit. Like they just had Jack Doyle, WKU star. He just retired. And so bringing one of these two guys in, they have the opportunity to start and play immediately. And I think with having Matt Ryan there now, who likes his tight ends, could be a really good fit for either one of those two guys.
I like that take.
Eric Fisher,
drafted
2013.
Sure. Can we talk about what the requirement is to be drafted as a tight end nowadays? It's got to be 6'4" as a minimum to be drafted as a tight end these days. Because I'm looking at the draft and it's like 6'4", 6'5", at least 225. I mean, that 250 really.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants that spread them out kind of guy, but you got to be able to block a little bit too. Everybody's looking for the next Gronk or Aaron Hernandez.
Kelsey.
Yeah. But
God. You go to Aaron Hernandez? That's your everybody wants the next Aaron Hernandez. I don't think
it's a good player.
He was.
He was
from
a
the
good
U,
player.
baby. Why do you think
No,
he chose Aaron
he
Hernandez?
was not.
No, he's Florida Gator.
I'm sorry.
You're thinking of Kellen Winslow.
I think he had a brain fart. He was trying to think of Travis Kelce. He's like, Aaron Hernandez.
I was like, but anyway, I'm not sure if we're still going here live, but he was a good football player. Aaron Hernandez, really good football player. Murph, I skipped over it. I know you got a voicemail saved up for us. We're going to play that real quick, and then we'll bring on our guest for this interview. We'll really try to dig a little bit on Malik Willis.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a caller call in last week, and just a quick reminder, we want to hear from you guys. So give us your thoughts, comments, questions, call us out, whatever you want to do. But that number is 615-900-4286. And do us a favor, leave your name. Leave us a call sign, whatever it is. That way we know who you are, and we know who this guy is because he's a regular listener and follower on the socials. But man, leave your name. That way we know who you are. We can shout you out, all that stuff. But let's get to this voicemail.
Twitter handle.
Yeah, Twitter handle would be perfect.
Hey guys, just wanted to go over a couple things. First of all, shout out to Mike from Slider. Second thing, I still don't like Teddy Gallagher. Third thing is I want to apologize to Sprouse for comparing him to Corso with his Houston pick. That was a low blow, and I shouldn't have done it. Thought it'd be funny, and still kind of do. But I really want to know what's going to get you guys to Boone for Labor Day weekend when Carolina comes to the Rock to take on my Appalachian State Mountaineers. I've been listening to people talk about how good Carolina's recruiting classes are and all that kind of garbage, and I won't believe it till I see it. Just want to know what it's going to take to get y'all to Boone.
Well, first of all, and I'm 100% sure that is Stu. And that guy, let me tell you something, that guy gets after it. But anyway, your apologies accepted. It was a low blow, and you know what? You live and you learn, and everybody makes mistakes. I mean, I've made 2 or 3 in my life, and that's one for you, so it's no big deal. As far as getting to Boone, I don't think it's going to take a whole lot for it.
I think that just did it for us.
Go to Boone. I mean, I think we're down to Boone or App State or ECU. We're kind of narrowed down to, so I guess we'll see.
But tell us why. Call us in if you think we should go to either one, and give us your opinion on why. But I mean, talk about a Group of 5, Power 5 upset week 1. I mean that's just got it written all over it, if you ask me.
All those writers and analysts out there talking about these high school stars and recruiting class and all that crap, it doesn't matter.
Nope.
App State is gonna blow them out.
Eric Church ain't gonna save you, Tar Heels.
If Eric Church no, he's not going to the game because he's got a concert in San Antonio.
The rescheduled
Sean
concert.
Clark calls the number for next week's call. We'll come. You get Sean 100%. Clark to call into the show, tell us why we should be there. I don't think we have a choice but to go.
Yeah,
all right, Sean, balls in your court, buddy.
We've got some time. We can shop this thing around. Anybody who's interested in the Group 5 guys coming to a matchup, call in and let's talk about it.
Yeah, we want to hear why.
Let us know why.
All right, guys, coming up, we're going to really talk about Liberty's rise to power and Malik Willis with our next guest coming on right now. Getting ready for the NFL draft. Everybody wants to talk about Malik Willis. So we here at the Group of 5 guys got us an awesome guest, a guy that had the privilege of coaching Malik Willis for a little bit there, a couple years at Liberty. We've got Kyle DeArmon, retired now, former Liberty football coach. This guy played at Liberty 06 to 09, joined the coaching staff in 2013, played with Rashad Jennings, and coached Malik Willis. How's that for a resume? So
sounds pretty good.
Kyle, man, thanks for coming on with us. How are you?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, your resume's a lot better than mine already, just by hearing that. Tell you what, though, this guy, he's already a winner in my book, because in the background there, I can tell we got about 2021 Peloton back there.
This right here, this is a let's see. I got this about a year ago, and I rode it 6 times, so it's been a great investment.
We're in the same
Nice
club.
job.
Yeah.
We're in the same club, man.
Yes.
I've actually gained weight since I bought my Peloton.
Most expensive clothing rack on the market, the Peloton.
Oh, man.
Really good.
That's the first thing I saw. I was like, yeah.
I had to move some stuff off it before the interview. So.
You should have put a little sweat ring around your neck.
Yeah, you just got done.
Peloton, boys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a confession to make. I think it was one of last year's shows. I literally one time, because they were making fun of me having the Peloton, I actually damped my shirt to make it look like I was kind of working out. I put more effort in not working out than working out.
Not much has changed since our college days.
No, yeah, it's the same guy. But you must have been I don't know this for a fact. You must have been one of the guys that didn't really touch the line. You kind of like, swiped like a yard in front of the line on sprints.
We still referring to me?
Yeah, who are you talking about?
Yeah, I was referring to you, Jess.
Oh, God bless, Sprouse. I
Sorry?
used to toast you in condition
Oh,
today. Don't even start
stop.
with that. Don't let the image of a 2022 Jesse Grisham get you fooled here. Look at that picture right there. That guy was a monster.
Yeah, good at football. A great football player. A lot better than me.
You're not getting by him. He was a machine.
Great
I'll
player,
tell you-
bad runner.
I'll tell you though, I was a line toucher because I was so afraid that I would get cut if I didn't touch the line. I was so sorry.
Did y'all do mat drills?
Yeah.
I always had my group going back. Oh, man. Again, if you just touch the line, you just do it. You're one and done. It's like that one more inch.
Oh,
For
it's
some
a lot.
reason, it seems impossible.
No,
it's
it's
impossible.
so far away. Yeah.
I feel like I was going to die. Well, whatever.
Well, Kyle, again, thanks for coming on. But so Liberty's is a fairly new program. I mean, relative to some of the rest of the teams we talk about. But you really started to rise in your playing days. So,
Yeah.
I mean, can you just talk about your time playing there, what you liked about it?
Yeah, so, the year before I got there, Liberty was 0-10, I think, and terrible. And then they hired Danny Rocco, and he came in. And then I walked on. I thought I was going to be a college basketball player. That was completely wrong. That was never going to happen ever. And so I was like, my buddies were like, you got to go try to play football. Just do it. They talked to me a little bit at high school, and it was like, so I knew the coaches, knew the receiver coach, knew a lot of the guys. And so I just did it and made it in 07. And then, it was cool. It was cool to watch for the first couple of years until I switched positions and moved to receiver and started to get a little playing time. I got hurt my sophomore year from scout team, broke my foot during training camp. That was sucked. And then I got to play. And then so I switched positions. Then I was like special teams, all 4 units, and a little bit of receiver my junior year. And then got to, end up starting like 7 games my senior year because of
literally
injury.
climbed the ladder. I mean, you worked your way through it.
Yeah.
There was a couple guys that got hurt, a couple guys that got kicked off the team that helped me climb the ladder, but I climbed it.
Yeah.
That's all right, man. You nowadays you would have transferred probably after that first year or so.
Yeah, seriously.
But
it was cool to watch the growth of the program as a player. It was a bottom feeder of an FCS team. No one in the country at all knew what Liberty, who, where, anything about Liberty University. And then, won 4 conference championships as a player. We never got to the playoffs. We always, because at that time Liberty was FCS. And the Big South didn't have a bid to the FCS playoffs. So we didn't have an automatic bid. So we had to win an at-large every single year. So, we had some really good years, 8-3, where we felt like we're going to get in, some big wins. And we beat Toledo one year, and I think everyone was like, for sure it was going to happen. But we lost to Presbyterian, who was transferring up from Division II. So they had like a half Division II, half FCS schedule. We lost to them, didn't get in. Danny Rocco is the head coach, who is now at Penn State, I think in like an analyst role. He was the head coach at Delaware for a really long time, but he was always and at that time too, you had to like watch the selection show on Sundays, like as your team came in, everyone had to watch it. We never ended up at watching it because he would always come in before the show started and was like, "We didn't get in." Like turn everything off. Like he would talk to us and send us home. But to see the rise for sure from 0-10 to winning, 4 straight conference championships to where they are now, it's crazy to see the transition.
Yeah.
Back in, you said you were 07 to 09 or was it 06 to 09?
06 to 2010. Really,
Yeah.
07, spring 07 was my first spring I walked on. 2010 was my final year playing.
In that span, who was Liberty's like rival game? Who was the
Coastal.
Coastal?
Yeah, Coastal Carolina.
Okay, that's interesting. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, so Coastal Carolina was a huge rival. because they were a conference rival too. So they were a huge rival for us. Charleston Southern was a big rival for us. I mean, I remember as a player, like we liked Coastal more than the previous Coastal, not this Coastal. This Coastal is, there's probably more dislike between Liberty and Coastal now than probably ever before, because the Cure Bowl a couple years ago and all that stuff. But, Liberty and Coastal tried to like make it a big rivalry. Like we did beat Coastal on our shirts. They did beat Liberty. Like it was a huge thing. But Charleston Southern was more of like as players, like there's certain teams that you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't stand these guys. And there's other teams that your school may be like, we don't like them. And you're like, well, I mean, they're pretty good dudes. Like we don't mind them.
Yeah.
That was Coastal and that was Charleston Southern for us as players. It was like we hated playing Charleston Southern and hated their guts and wanted to kill them. Coastal, the school was like huge rivalry game. All the students were hyped up, and we'd be like, "Oh, what's up, dude? Good to see you." Like, we had respect for them. So
that's what I always try to do on the field. A lot of people were like talk crap and stuff. I'd always be like, "Hey, how are you?" Like they do, like the only like Sprouse thing is like, "Hey, man, hell of a spin move there. Good job. Hey, how are you? How you doing? How you doing?"
We played Kentucky Wesleyan one year, and there was probably a nose guard that was 400 pounds.
Ooh.
And one of the offensive linemen ran over, and he was like, all that dude wanted to know was like if we were going to go out later tonight. Like they were staying tonight. They weren't driving back. All he wanted to know was like, hey man, where y'all going out to? And it's just different to hear that. You're probably like taken aback a little bit of like, wait, what?
Probably softens you up a little bit. I mean, if you're talking trash, you probably want to bury the guy. And then,
seriously.
Well, so then in 18, Hugh Freeze gets there, and Liberty makes the jump to FBS, and pretty much immediately becomes a household name. So, I mean, what was it like in your mind, like before that prepared Liberty to just be ready right away?
Well, money. And I mean, like from 2010 to 2020, the school spent $1 billion in campus infrastructure.
Wow.
So like new dorms, new dining halls, new library, a completely new quad, new softball, new baseball, new basketball, new.
Is that
football.
a real number? 1 billion?
1 billion. It's a real number.
Billions.
Well, I didn't know if it was like about $1 billion. Like $1 billion went into this. Oh my!
That's incredible.
They spent $1 billion in 10 years in campus infrastructure. So like to get Liberty to FBS, I mean, for years, even when I was playing towards the end of it, they were talking about like, we want to make a jump into FBS. I think it was like 2008 that they like made the announcement of we have goals to be an FBS program. And so like the money was just always there because of the online school. I think they're like second behind University of Phoenix in like numbers for online academy. I mean, you look on LinkedIn and it's like everyone went to Liberty, it feels like. Online school. So take that.
I had no idea they were such a big online school.
No, I didn't know that either.
So like, hopefully you guys get a chance to go to a game this year in Lynchburg, and that's probably a little trek for you, but it is an unbelievable campus. I mean, it's like state of the art. They didn't spend money in athletics. I mean, they spent money in a total, state of the art dorm room, state of the art, learning facilities, classrooms, all those things. So, that really set Liberty up to be able to, when they decided to make the jump or when they paid their way really to get in, it was like, all right, when we brought recruits on campus and we're like, hey, we're an FBS program, they saw the facilities and they're like, oh, and kids these days have no idea. Like they know no tradition. We were recruiting kids in 2018 being like, hey, Hugh Freeze is our head coach. And they'd be like, who? I have no idea who that is. Like, you're talking about, he was out of coaching for 2 years. So like when they're in 9th and 10th grade, they're not really like paying attention to college football, which is kind of crazy, but it is what it is. So, they're just, so I think that really had something to do with it. Obviously bringing a household name in like Hugh Freeze, who media stirs up about and all that stuff. It really helped with recruiting, but so.
I really want to get this question out, guys, because one of my best friends, he's from Ole Miss, and he literally adores Hugh Freeze. What are your thoughts on Mr. Freeze?
I love the guy. I mean, he was so fun to work for. I think he's probably even more fun to play for because he doesn't like rip into their tail probably like he does the coaches. I mean, he'll get on to him for sure. But it's just different, man. I mean, like I played for a guy who was kind of like that, but not really. And then Coach Gill was, Turner Gill is an amazing human and like a great dude, but he never really like get into him. Coach Hugh Freeze has a way of like, I don't know how he does it. I mean, like he's able to like get to them weekly by like in team meetings and stuff, and then he can just like rip their tail and get into them and then get them to play. And every single game they go into, they're like, we're gonna win. That's what in 2020 it happened. I mean, like 10-1, we beat Syracuse, we beat Virginia Tech. Like he has been the best thing for that university. Because, the mix between him and Malik Willis, has been like Liberty's become a household name in a snap of a finger. Legitimately for recruiting and stuff. But he's just an awesome dude. You can go to him with anything. When I went to him and told him, like, hey, I'm out. Like, I'm going to move on I'm going to become a company man. I'm out. Like, work my 8 to 5, eat my cheese and crackers, take my lunch break. Go home, spend it with my family. Like he sat, he was like very intentional talking with me about it and, was great with it. And, he just, everyone who works for him really loves him. His players love him. And you can ask him any question in the world you want to, and he's going to tell you the truth and he's going to talk to you. And I couldn't speak highly for him, honestly.
That's awesome.
So how did Malik Willis end up at Liberty? Obviously he went to Auburn for a little bit.
Yeah.
How did Hugh Freeze pull that one off?
So he is so sneaky with I don't want to say like sneaky with recruiting, but it's so different now.
Sorry, I couldn't have that one.
Malik cares.
No.
We know.
But he is like when he wants somebody, he gets them. Like so, like Malik went in the portal, and Coach Freeze has a great relationship with Gus Malzahn. They're boys, from high school coaching days and the kind of that background of working their way up. Arkansas State, obviously, and so like Gus called him and told him like, hey, I got this kid, he's transferring. We're gonna go with Bo Nix. We think this is the best for our program. I think he can play. He hasn't really thrown it much for us. Like, he's an athletic quarterback. He knew that Freeze, loved athletic quarterbacks for what he did at Ole Miss and was like, what do you think? Like, let's, if you're interested, here's all the information. So we watched him, and I remember watching him with Ken Austin, who's a quarterback coach, who is unbelievable guy, and he has a lot to do with how, Malik progressed. I had nothing to do with that. That was all Kent Austin. All I did was like, make sure he had a lot of the scouting reports and details and all that kind of stuff, and made sure the scout team was lined up correctly. But
it's a big part, man.
Huge. Thank you. But so we watched him, and it was like, yeah, he's super athletic. Can he throw? I'm not really sure because they didn't really do that much. You watch his high school film and you're like, oh, he's got a cannon, but he, his feet are all over the place. Like, what can he be? And so, when things like that happen at Liberty, Freeze makes that decision. There is not a lot of, all right, let's take a vote, or what does everybody think? It is like, he's like, I think this kid can play. I'm taking him. So everyone's like, all right, cool. So at the time, we had a dude who was a 4-year starter, 4,000 yards, a year passer. He shattered every record. Buckshot Calvert. He just destroyed every record in Liberty history. And so they kind of had, they asked compliance if Malik would be eligible because it was like we didn't really know what was going to happen. It was Freeze's first year or whatever, and so he wasn't. So he ended up going to scout team. But it was all Hugh Freeze. I remember when Malik came on his visit with his dad, he's very quiet and just, yes sir, no sir, in the meeting room. But it was all Hugh Freeze. It was Hugh Freeze convincing, Malik to come here. And Malik will tell you, I mean, there was like 3 schools that recruited him really. I know Troy was one, because Chip Lindsey was at Auburn when Malik was there. So Chip had like called him and to talk to him, but he didn't really want to stay down there. And so then we kind of fell into our lap. I mean, it worked out for both of us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, once he got there, I mean, you can see on the field just how special, he is. What would you say his, top quality is that most, people watching him game film, like, you don't get to see, kind of behind the scenes.
So the first year, and I would do like all the scouting reports, and I would like, make cut ups for the quarterbacks to watch and kind of do stuff like that. And so the first year I was like, does this guy watch film? Like I'd see him up there occasionally, but we were always in the offensive staff room. So I was like, does he watch? I don't know if he watches any film. And the next thing you know, we would go into like a Tuesday or Wednesday meeting and install like a 3rd down plan, 2nd down plan, or whatever. And it would kind of be like sort of like a play that somebody ran against the team that we're playing. And he would be like, oh yeah, like they ran this against Troy on 3rd and 17 with like 4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter.
Wow.
And I was like, what? Like, how did you know that? Like, I didn't even, like, no one told you that. You hadn't seen this play before, like here I am thinking that he doesn't watch any film because I don't see him all the time. And then he tells me like an exact play number from exact time. And I'm like, damn, well, I got to watch more film because he can't watch more film than me. I got to help get this guy ready to play.
Yeah.
So he is like, I almost feel like he has a photographic memory. I mean, because he can see something or you can tell him and show him and it's like, boom, he gets it. And I think that's a lot of things that like people don't really realize is that he is, I mean, just like unbelievable when it comes to being able to like recall something that he's seen on film before. And you can't really see that on film, but that's what he does throughout the week when he watches film and just completely dissects it. I mean, it's pretty cool.
I know he was always an extreme athlete. I mean, that's why he went to Auburn. I did research previous to this because I was curious as to why he left. And he was just up front saying that he thought that he was just immature at that young age and he needed to get out of Auburn. Do you think that he just developed into the player because of Liberty? Do you think that Hugh Freeze was able to mold him to become what he was? Or do you think he would have been that way at Auburn and Auburn's over here saying like, no offense to Bo Nix, but they're probably thinking, damn,
yeah,
wish we'd have kept him,
Yeah, I mean, you see that on Twitter. I mean, you saw it if Auburn lost and we won, especially in 2020 when they were struggling, I mean, it was like on Twitter all the time, like, what have we done? What have we done? Like, we let go of that dude. But to answer your question, I mean, I think that he would achieve what he has achieved regardless of where he is, or where he went, because of the type of kid and the player that he is. But he had to be given the opportunity, and I don't think he would have been given the opportunity at Auburn because he would have sat behind Bo Nix. I mean, they weren't going to – I mean, Bo Nix, his granddad, his dad? I mean, like, he had a line of – I mean, if Gus Malzahn felt like he was on a hot seat initially, I mean, think if he pulled Bo Nix and then played Malik Willis and it was, like, kind of shaky, I mean, that dude would have got, $25 million instead of $21 million, for his body.
Well, Auburn's like that. I live real close to Auburn, and they're – I mean, you saw what they tried to do with Brian Harsin this year. I mean, there's a lot of politics at a place like that. And, yeah, I mean, the Bo Nix scenario was –
right. But, I mean, I do think that Hugh Freeze and Ken Austin, like, helped mold Malik. And it was almost like they were the perfect combo of coaches to – take somebody who is extremely talented and who fit into an offense. And then, I mean, Ken Austin, I cannot speak highly enough of this guy, and you got to look him up if you don't know anything about him, if you guys, people watching or whatever, but like, he is a quarterback wizard. I mean, he took Buckshot the year before Malik, he took our quarterback at Liberty, and the year before he threw 28 interceptions, and the year that Ken Austin had him, he threw 5. And I mean, he like shattered more records. I mean, like he just dials these guys in. He teaches them up, and he's just an unbelievable football coach. And so I think it's a little bit mixture of both. But yeah, I mean, I think if he would have, it would have been a lot harder for him to kind of jump Bo, But
yeah,
I mean, it kind of just worked out perfectly for what we had at Liberty, and Hugh Freeze and Ken Austin mixed to, to kind of help Malik, I should say, get to where he is now.
That's a perfect example of the transfer portal being a good thing.
Yeah.
He got there. He had to leave again. He didn't go and see a little bit of adversity and decide to go to Miami and get diversity, and then go to UNLV, and then just.
Are you talking about somebody specific, Jeff?
Yeah. Who is that? Who did that?
a no name.
Is he a Netflix star or what?
Yeah.
One of those Netflix dudes. Whenever you see Malik, who would you compare him to, like in NFL, just off of just athleticism, not off the field stuff? I personally think he's gonna be like a Deshaun Watson kind of deal, on the field kind of stuff. Like you think he's Deshaun Watson-esque kind of deal?
Yeah, I mean he is. Yeah, it's hard because I think he has the strength of like a Josh Allen, where like you're not gonna be able to tackle him. You know what I mean? Like he is so big and strong. And then your Lamar Jackson speed, where it's like he gets in the open and he's gone. Like, we saw that straight athleticism, and then he's got a cannon for an arm where he can make every throw. And in college football, a lot of the times those defenses make you like take away the outer fifth. They want you to throw the farthest area of the field.
Yeah.
All the way out there, and so they would do that, and then he would just drill hole shots into cover 2, like to the field. He did that against Syracuse, and I mean, it's just like stupid throws, so it's really hard. So comparing him to a name, I mean, I think Deshaun Watson, your Russell Wilsons, Josh Allen's, like those are guys that these Mel Kipers and these guys are like saying like, oh, this is kind of who he compares to, but
it's like a hybrid of all three of them together.
Yeah, I mean, it's like exactly, a hybrid of all three of them. I mean, I hope
it's pretty
so.
scary. If it holds true, that's scary.
Yeah, I mean, because he's just so strong, and he's built like a linebacker or running back in his lower half. And so, I mean, you even watch our games against. I mean, I remember when we played Troy. I mean, y'all talk about going down there yesterday or this weekend or whatever, but they had some freaks on the defensive line. These guys were rushing off the edge, and we really struggled to protect. And I mean, they'd have a free, clean hit on him and hit him, be all over his back, and then he'd somehow get off him. Or like hit him and he'd make a throw like all the way, like an out, 15-yard out all the way to the field and be able to complete it with somebody on his back. So, I mean, it's a really like hard comparison for like who in the NFL plays like him. But
I'm sure it's going to depend too on where he goes and what system he gets put in. Will be a big factor. But I mean, we've seen every mock-up, drafts that past month, and it's on Thursday. I mean, where do you think, A, where do you think he goes, and B, if you could pick for him, where do you think would be the best fit for him?
So I talked to him this morning, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, you got any inclination of where you're gonna go?" And he was like, "I said, listen, I'm talking to the Group of 5 Guys podcast. It's the hottest thing on
heck yeah.
We knew we liked it. Great work.
I need to know, I need to know some intel." And he was like, "Katie, I have no idea." He was like, "I have absolutely no clue, but it doesn't matter. Like, I feel good." I told him, I was like, "I hope you stay on the East Coast because it'd be a lot easier for your family and for everybody."
Yeah.
But I really have no idea. I mean, like, I've asked somebody at the Panthers, and I was like, "Yo, you got any idea what's going on?" Like, I've asked somebody at the Seahawks, and they were like, not blown away by his interview stuff. He's not like a rah-rah guy. I mean, people are talking about how crappy this draft is, but in reality, I think it's so fun because people like you just have no idea. We're going to watch the draft on Thursday, and there's going to be like, one group of 5 guy taking in Malik, and the next thing you know, there's like another one to pick 12, and we're like, where'd this guy come from? Because no one literally has any idea where these guys are going to go.
Yeah.
But if I could pick somewhere, I would love for him to be, in like a Pittsburgh, somewhere that's just like a solid,
Organization.
Exactly. Like somewhere where he's going to be able to either sit behind somebody and like watch or play right away, and they have a foundation of players that can help him be successful, and they've had a history of players being successful. But I think wherever he goes, he's gonna flourish, hopefully. And
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons are going to trade up, and they're going to get him. He's going to be the Falcons quarterback. He's going to be the next Michael Vick. Just watch. Just wait.
I'd rather him go to the Falcons than like a Detroit or a Jacksonville. I mean, these organizations are
Marcus
so rough.
is not going to be the Falcons quarterback.
Well, dude, I was thinking the same thing. Like, so you're telling me you traded for a backup guy, and then you're gonna like try to make it on your social media, like you're just stoked. Like, oh my gosh, look who we got! Like, we were so excited. And no disrespect to Marcus Mariota, but it's like you got to be thinking that they're thinking like, okay, great. Now who's going to be the starter?
Yeah.
Like,
I watch draft day probably 6 times a year. I know how this works with Kevin Costner. He is sitting right now with a sticky note. It's saying Malik all day, and he's going to make the decision here probably in a couple of days. There's been a trade, so.
Is he going to the draft? Like, is he going to be there in person?
Yeah, he said so. Like, this dude rolls 40 deep, like at football games. I've never seen anything like it. We got done playing UAB in Birmingham, and I walked outside the gates to see my family who had come down, and it was like, I was like, oh my, we have so many fans here. It was amazing. But it was Malik's family. I mean, it was all of them.
That's really funny.
That's great.
So he's going, his mom and dad and brother and sister. He said that he has 11 tickets to like the area. I think they're doing it like they did in 2020, where they kind of had everybody separated in their own like kind of rooms.
Yeah.
So he has 11 tickets there, but he has more like, so his entire family's going. His like 11 or his immediate family and some close friends, some of Liberty's players, his former roommates probably, and they're gonna go and be there in the room, and then like his entire family just gonna be there at the draft, with probably their Malik Willis jerseys on. But he said his mom and dad wanted to go. Initially, he was like, "I'm gonna stay at home." I think Coach Freeze had told him like, "Hey, if you stay at home, we can kind of control like cameras, and because you never really know what's gonna happen on draft day." But his mom and dad were like, "Hey, if we get a chance to go, let's go." And
it's once in a lifetime, man. I think you gotta go.
You gotta go.
Where's it at again?
It's Vegas.
Vegas.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm going. I mean, seriously, I'm going.
Yeah.
For
It's
sure.
gonna be a pretty cool thing. So
I'm
yeah,
sure mom and dad are like, let's just go.
Yeah, hey, no problem. We'll go. What's that signing bonus? Let's put it on red real fast. No, it's so funny you mentioned Pittsburgh though, because we literally, when we were talking before you got on, Jesse brought up Pittsburgh, and we talked about these guys go to, I mean they go to Jacksonville or Detroit or Cleveland before. They just have no shot. I mean,
right.
They get there, they have no protection. They have an organization that's just, I mean, I don't know. I don't work in the organization, but they're never good. Their draft picks never pan out. Their trades never work. So obviously there's an issue, but yeah, a place where you go in Pittsburgh, it's like, what are they known for? They're going to have a run game. They're going to have an O-line. They're going to have a defense. So the pressure is not going to be on.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's look at let's call him the top quarterbacks in the league right now. Aaron Rodgers. He got drafted super late, super embarrassed, sat behind Aaron Rodgers in a good program in Green Bay, and look what's happened. Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. No one liked him. He got drafted in New England, sat behind Drew Bledsoe, great program. He's Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes got drafted, sat behind Alex Smith for a little bit. Boom. He's a baller, right? I mean, probably the list goes on and on and on. And, Josh Allen got drafted with a great program with Buffalo. They hired Sean, what's his name? Y'all know. You got it.
Come on.
You got it.
Not McVay. It's
Come on.
First
McDermott, right?
Yeah,
McDermott. Sean McDermott.
McDermott?
Isn't it McDermott?
yeah, Sean McDermott.
Somebody.
Sean McDermott, okay.
Yep.
So they get him. I mean, it's a great program. So, but then you look at guys like Sam Darnold. got drafted by the Jets. I mean, he was a first-round draft pick, and he was like, he's going to be the next greatest thing. Now you're talking about them trading Baker Mayfield in Carolina to get him, or them drafting a guy who the experts are being like, there's not really anyone who's amazing. Like, but he got drafted by the Jets and got his ass just killed every single week because nobody had any protection.
Yeah.
And now he's like, what's he going to bounce to a third team? Like, he hasn't been successful. So I think that's everyone's biggest hope is that, I mean, even if it is disappointing on draft day for Malik, like, or people like, oh, yeah, we knew he wasn't going to get drafted high. He gets taken late in the first or gets taken in the second, but he goes to like a program that might have a starter who's like an Indianapolis. You know, he gets drafted late in the first or he gets taken in the second by Indianapolis, and they're like, all right, let's sit you behind Matt Ryan. And now we have another, you know, where he gets to learn a little bit. I mean, dude's played 2 years of college football, you know, legitimately. I mean, that's.
I am a big believer that you get in. I think it's best to take it like at least a year to sit behind a veteran to learn the game a little bit. Because even my was Jared Goff, like he went to the Rams, and it took him a little bit just to get his stuff going. What was who was the first round quarterback that went to Phoenix and was just the bust of all busts? It came from
Huh? Oh, was it Matt Barkley?
No. Came from Cal. He went to Phoenix, and then he went to you know what I'm talking about? He was right before Kyle Murray. He told him, he's like, we're going to win a Super Bowl.
From Cal?
He went to Cal or UCLA, one of them. I think it was Cal.
Oh,
Goff?
Josh Rosen.
Yeah, Josh Rosen.
Yeah. Let's just not be one of those
UCLA.
guys. Yeah, that was – ugh. Because I think he played right away.
Yeah.
And it was,
I mean,
he gets thrown in the fire and he gets crushed.
Yeah,
and
then his confidence is shot.
Gone. Yeah. I mean, that's what it wasn't it Darnold that was like, I don't know, I'm seeing ghosts out there.
Right. Yeah, so that's
that
what
poor
you
guy.
Exactly. So that's what you don't. I mean, you know, like in my mind, it doesn't matter if he's drafted first overall or I mean, the dude's going to be drafted. He's going to be the ninth player in Liberty football history to be drafted. You know, he could possibly be the second player in Liberty football history to be drafted in the first round. Shout out Eric Green, tight end, 1990 to the Steelers, I should say. So we do have a history, but I mean, like he's gonna be drafted. And I think that's where like social media screws these kids up, and where it's like, if you're not a first round draft pick, like you must just suck. Like if you get drafted in the second round, you must be terrible at football. Like you might as well go, you know, be like the four of us and just find a normal job because you're trash. Yeah. Like, but that's what social media is now, where it's like, dude, you're going to be drafted. You're going to be on an NFL roster. Like, it doesn't matter where you go. Like, you're going to have an opportunity. And so I think that, you know, social media is so bad now where these guys and these kids are like, have all this pressure to do all these things and to whatever it is. But, man, you know, I think everyone in Liberty is going to be in Liberty alumni and fan base now. Our own coaches are going to be super excited for Malik wherever he goes, but definitely, you know, praying, hoping that he goes somewhere that's just going to be good for him as a player and a person, and not somewhere where he just gets thrown into the fire right away. And it's like, hey, good luck. We absolutely suck. And like, you're going to get killed, and it's going to be a rude awakening in the NFL. But I think wherever he goes, he's going to be successful.
Yeah, can't wait.
He can run.
Yeah, that's
He
good.
can run.
That is a plus for him.
Which you know, what's his name?
Chosen Rosen could
Josh
not.
Rosen could not.
Chosen Rosen was frozen.
But I mean, Joe Burrow got killed this year, and they got all the way to the Super Bowl. So I mean,
that's true.
We're talking about, I mean, the NFL is changing where, you know, offensive linemen aren't the most athletic anymore. I mean, they probably were back in our day of playing, right?
1,000%. I was probably most athletic.
There we go.
But as I've retired, I've noticed they've got a lot sloppier, a lot less muscle mass.
So you need an athletic quarterback. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man, well, Kyle, man, we appreciate you coming on. We'll let you go real quick. Give you like 30 seconds. Give us an elevator pitch, you know, for recruits out there, fans out there. Why cheer for or why go to Liberty?
I would just say go and see it for yourself. Do not, like, for fans, for everybody. I mean, like, don't take what you hear on social media or whatever. I mean, like, go and see this place for yourself. It's an unbelievable place with unbelievable people. 6,000 students every home game in the student section. I mean, it is an unbelievable place, and I think you should, if you've never been to a game there, go to a game. If you're a player, go and check it out. Listen to the coaches when they tell you that Liberty is the real deal, because it is.
Yeah, we got to get up there for sure.
Yeah, I'll meet y'all up there. I'm retired, so I can hang out. We can.
There we go.
There you
We're
go.
all retired.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, again, thanks for coming on, man. Guys, we are going to see where Malik gets drafted. I mean, hopefully somewhere good. That's all we can. That's all
That's
we can
right.
hope for all
Best
these
time of
guys.
the year, right, Jeff?
What was that? I'm sorry.
It's the best time of year,
Oh,
right?
ain't no doubt about it. This in the NBA playoffs.
Thanks, fellas.
All right.
man,
Thanks,
thanks.
Kyle.
Thanks,
See ya, bud.
man.
All right.
That was awesome, man. By the time this will release, draft will be tomorrow, and going into the weekend. So really excited about that. See where Malik Willis and all these other guys end up. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And don't forget to follow us on all the social media accounts at Group of Five Guys. And then do us a favor, leave us a voicemail like our boy Stu. Number is 615-900-4286. Give us your hottest take after the draft or after the first couple rounds. Tell us what you're mad about, what you're happy about, and let us know. Thank you again, Group of Five Guys. We're out of here.